So I am now going to call up, we have Dr. Hazel N. Dukes and Jeff Hurt, along with Dr. Christy De La Cruz, Rafael Alvarez, and Dr. Tammy Pate. So come on up to the stage. And Sue Kong. Oh, and the Deputy Superintendent, Sue Kong, come on up. You're going to be the escort up, that's very wise. No fall.
First?
Yeah, you're going to be first.
Okay. I'm up.
Yeah, I'm going to start to introduce you.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, well, here we go again. Everybody's got that Z-itis after lunch. I know many of you are not used to having a lunch like you do here today back at school. You all have that 10-second lunch at school. So if we could say it again, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. And see, many of y'all be doing the same thing when you ask your children, they look, how you feel? I'm all right. But our children follow what we do because you are the leaders who they see every day. And I want to say welcome here. Thank you so much for being to this phenomenal conference here. It's been 3 years since I was last here in 2019. And when I came here that first time, sitting in this room like you for that opening session, there was this phenomenal young lady on the stage, dressed to the high nines. Y'all know what we mean. Heels sharp, glowing, strutting. But it was the message that was delivered. A powerful message from her about learning, of how we take our game to the next level in this field of STEM. And then I ask you, what is STEM? As you heard the chancellor ask you the question, if I asked every one of you what is STEM and we took a few minutes at this table, I think we would come out with about 9,000 different versions of what is STEM. And many of you could be correct. But the question becomes is how do we now bring that into our schools so that not only our children understand, but our parents understand what our children are learning in our schools under your leadership. And so when I left that conference after meeting with Kelly Liswells, Sal Fernandez, who I've known in New York City, I knew it was one of the best conferences I've ever attended. But I knew what I had to do back in New York City when I had retired after being in education for 33 years, 7.5 teaching, 25 as a special representative for the United Federation of Teachers, negotiating with teachers and administrators on both sides. My standard has always been, do I want that child, do I want that teacher who is with that child teaching my child? Let me say that again. For all of you out here who are in classrooms and who have children of your own, do you want that teacher teaching your child? That gives you pause for thought because we control the lives of these children in our hands. Many of them who come here from broken homes, shelters, no father, no mother, no parents, but they see you every morning. And yet we struggle with many of them as they struggle with us. See, make it real quick. We have no social life. We all remember those days. Monday to Friday, you're exhausted. You get up so early to try to find a parking spot in New York City to get into a school. Rush through the day, leave school late at night. And Friday night, you have a social night where you go to the bath, shower, go to your pillow, and you're sleeping. Tell your spouse, whomever, I got a date tonight with the pillow. Saturday you did your day of errands, and Sunday you did your day of worship. Please, God, don't let so-and-so come in on Monday. And when the door opened and they weren't there, you were smiling from ear to ear. 10 minutes later when they came in, you had that look. God, you didn't answer me, but you did your job. And that led me to this phenomenal young lady next to me, Dr. Hazel Lynn Dukes, who I've known for many years through the fight in New York City. And when I retired, I wanted to put together a program to help our teachers, our superintendents, our principals, our children, but also our parents. Our parents. And I met with her, my business partner, Frank Liebman. Frank, please take a stand up here. Frank. This man here cares more for the children than many people I've known for years. And with his help, we raised a foundation through Verizon of over $3 million to help many schools in New York City, specifically one district, District 4. And one of those schools, PS 171, you can look it up, received these devices in District 4, we'll be speaking soon. Their scores shot through the roof, and they are now in the top, and they've been in the top 5% in New York City State in reading and math. And the NCSTU, they won the Gold Award for Best Urban School in America in 2019, and this year again, they won it again in 2022. But before I get to Dr. Dukes, I brought her to that school. This lady here walked up 5 flights to the top, beat many of us up there. And I brought her to the school with the former chancellor, took her to the classrooms. And she'll tell you, she asked children questions. And do you think she got a one-word answer? Oh, no. She saw those children engaged, got complete sentence answers. And then she turned and looked at the chancellor and had one question to him. Why can't all of my schools and all of our schools be like this one?
Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah, that's the question.
And the chancellor had no answer. So I will let Dr. Duke share her vision before we show the slide of what we're going to do here, letting you know that she has been fighting the civil rights and education fight for years on behalf of all of our children. Black, brown, whatever you say, she is there for them, the homeless, the shelterless here, in terms of helping them and bringing equity and equality to the forefront of every political leader in New York State. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Dr. Hazel Lynn Dukes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me just say I am thrilled to be here. Kelly, where are you? Thank you so much. When these guys came back in 2019, they took me on a world tour of my schools in New York City. Let me tell you how proud I am of the chancellor of the city of New York. We've had many chancellors to come to New York. They didn't even know how to spell New York. And so that was the first failure. The politics, my father said to me, the only city in the world is named twice, New York, New York. It's a hell of a place. The politics, the rumbling and tumbling of it is amazing. But some of us have stayed the course for many years. I've seen chancellors go and come, seen principals in school go and come. But I've been steadfast for 44 years in the fight for NAACP, which will open its 113th convention beginning Sunday in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I have spent 44 of my years with that association, and the focus has been on education. My grandmother, who washed clothes in Montgomery, Alabama, and I would go with her from Mason Street to Perry Street to take the clothes. And we would hear such thing as eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a nigger by his toe. If he holler, let him go. And my grandmother would look at me and said, they're crazy. She didn't use the word ignorant because she didn't know that in her vocabulary. She said, but what you get up here, no one can take it away from you. And so I grew up knowing that I was the best thing, that I was loved, I was protected, and that's what our children need. And so I've been fighting to make sure that every child, regardless of zip code, where they come from, should have the opportunity to receive a quality and equity education. In New York City, New York State, we have areas of Scarsdale, Roslyn, where I had the privilege to live and rear my son. But every child, regardless of that, should have the same opportunity. And for the educators, that's your responsibility. The child come to school hungry, you should have a pantry that they can eat. The child come to school without proper clothing, you ought to have some extra things in there to make them feel good about himself or herself. You ought to have an extra jacket, a shirt, and a tie, if that's what other children are doing that particular day. It's not about that standardized test. I've been fighting New York State about the standardizing test. Yes, you should have some measurements. There should be some accountability, but there also should be fun. Loving to go to school. I can't remember a day that I said I didn't want to go to school. Even when I had a little tummy ache, I wanted to go to school. Even when I had a bad cold, I wanted to go to school. I never remembered a day in my life. And when I talk about politics and education, after Verizon and Spectrum, no foundation gave me any money because they give it to the national. But there were people who thought it was not robbery to help me. One of those persons is here today. He was a city council member, former council member, Danique Miller. Will you stand? Made sure with his people in the city council, his colleagues gave us the first $1 million to start us. And Kelly, when these guys came back in 2019, they said to me I had started small at several schools, and we met Councilman Miller on a night when I invited them to come and see the program I had with my children. We started there. And Frank and Jeff, they have gone after everyone they can, every rock, they moved it, so we can get this program in our city schools. Yes, while you hear the chancellor talk about the budget of New York City schools, because the children we have in New York City, that's not enough money for our children. Children of need. Children who come to these districts without any thought. They didn't have Head Start. They didn't even have pre-K. They enter into schools where it was frightening almost. They didn't go with a feeling of learning. Their parents afraid to go to the school because our educators, they're not educated, so we don't have time for you. Johnny can't read. He just can't learn. And so we're going to ship him out to BOCES. We're going to put him in a class where he just probably sit all day. That's not America. That is not what we founded on. And so thank you, educators, who are here from all over the country to learn more about how we get our children energized, as the chancellor say, to love school, that it's a fun place. They go back home to broken homes. They need you to encourage them the time that you have with them and have it fun for them and loving for them, that they feel a part of a family. So thank you so much for this, for our wonderful leaders that we have here from New York City. I can guarantee you with this chancellor, we won't walk on water, but you know it's a different feeling, and we're going to do better, and we're going to do more. And to Jeff and Frank, as long as I have breath in my body, we will get this done, because I'm not afraid. I kick open doors that I was never blessed to walk through. But for the next generation of children, I want to prepare that. Thank you so much.
You've heard that they say this is a tough act to follow, but when you were on the receiving end of the phone call from Dr. Dukes, did you get it done? You better have an answer. And God has blessed us, and we have gotten it done. These are our partners here in this program here, what we wanted to start. And again, I stand again, my colleague here, my good brother here, the former councilman, the Honorable I. Denique Miller here. We grew up in the famous pink houses back in East New York, Brooklyn. Pink houses, ladies and gentlemen. They were projects in East New York. And we played ball in the summertime, Little League baseball, basketball in the fall, street hockey in the winter, football. And we went to PS 224 in East New York, Brooklyn. A school in a predominantly at that time black area of new projects, but surrounded in the back by the infamous Old Mill. And at the Old Mill was all the old Italians who lived there for years. And they used to say that many of those lots in the back had many of the bodies in the Old Mill lots here. But we went to that school and we became good friends. His brother and my brother were best friends. And through our years of passing by as we bumped into one another. He was a union representative, I was, and now city council person. And we've always shared a belief that we needed a sound education for our children. And we collaborated that night in December, and we said we're going to do something here, because my goal when I retired was I wanted to see every child have a device in New York City schools. It is inexcusable in the largest city in the world that our children do not have the tools that these phenomenal individuals up here need to work with, and you out there need to work with. It's inexcusable. And so we were able to get that first $1 million. And $1 million might sound like a lot of money, ladies and gentlemen, but when you start breaking down the costs for devices, programs, you see how much you can do. And so we were able to get that first $1 million. And our partners were Dell Technology, where we're getting the Chromebooks from them. Brand new company, NeoWorld, where they had game-based analytics for them. And then we were working also with the STEM Happens Network here, Kelly, Sal, who I told them when I met them at that conference, if I ever get a program, I'm bringing you in because of the work that they do. And also our leadership in Queens South at that time, the Honorable Dr. Tammy Pate, Superintendent of District 28. My gurus, my compadre, the Deputy Superintendent, Sue Kong from 28. These individuals here, I mean, wow, they have been blessed. God has blessed us. And so when we started, I'll make it quick for our program. Here's what we wanted to do, as you see here, and you can read it here in terms of that: increasing resource equity, improving teaching, all right, ensuring college and career readiness, and keeping kids in school. Everything the chancellor's heard talked about, you heard here. That's what we wanted to do. And so we kept it going here. It's a 3-year program, and we made sure that there was not a penny out of the school's budget, because schools have no budgets. Teachers that I know, thank you, give them a round, they have no budgets, right? Teachers spend an average of $3,500 to $5,000 out of your own pocket on supplies. I believe it's even more than that. And why should that be? Because y'all care. And so what we do here is to make sure that we do with the leadership program. One of the key caveats of this program is parents must be partners with our program. Must. When we have our teams that are developing the schools, if a parent representative is not on there, we will not work with that school. That is non-negotiable. And I have to say, we have never been turned down by anyone throughout New York City. That in every school that we're in, we have a parent representative and parent teams on there that we work with here. And as you can see what we do, and I'll let you read for yourselves in terms of how the program evolves in terms of 3 years. Why is it 3 years? Because for whatever reason, New York City deems that devices last only 3 years. So we wanted to make sure that rather than the school running out of money after year 1, we got to come begging again. We made sure that they were supplied with enough to keep it revolving for 3 consecutive years. So that, again, there's no cost. And let's be clear, you cannot teach STEM in 1 year. It's impossible. The work, the preparation of the planning, it needs time to grow. And that's what we started to do here. And these are what we were doing in the program here. But when the program started, before I get to the 4 pillars, how we quickly here, it was only supposed to be 2 schools in District 28 at that time. And Denise came there, Dr. Dukes was there, and we had the press conference at the school. And then about later that year we started, and the bureaucracy of New York City, I will not tell you, please. I joke, I had an afro when I started, and you can see how it is now. You know, I was about 20 pounds heavier, Frank, right? And, you know, Frank, my colleague here, he had black hair, so you see what happened with him. And we know what you go through, even in your cities, of the bureaucracy. And that should never be for our children, because if our children are not deemed as precious commodities, who is? Who is? And then COVID hit. COVID hit. How do we deal with COVID? What is COVID? All we knew in New York City right there, people were dying left and right, and then schools were closed. Our babies are home. Parents are struggling. What are we going to do? And then I received a call from my good friend, Sue Khan. Frantic. Jeff. Mr. Hewitt, please call me Jeff. Can we give these devices out? Because I got kids now in shelters. I got kids can't come to school. Sue, you do whatever you need to do with those devices. Do what you ever need to do. This is your program. And she gave them out. Then I received a call from Mr. Alvarez, District 7. I have to let you know, District 28, one of the poorest areas in Queens, Southeast Queens. However, on the other side, well, My brother here in District 7, Mr. Alvarez, the South Bronx. You all see many programs on TV about the South Bronx, so you know what that's like. And again, Mr. Alvarez, you do what you need to do with those devices. And they have done yeoman's work. Where now, when we started out, supposed to be in 2 schools, we are now in over 60 schools in New York City. And I'm going to have first Mr. Alvarez come up here talking about part of the 4 pillars here of where the department stands from his perspective, but then we're going to show you how we do it from their perspective. See, because this is not my program, this is not even Dr. Duke's program. This is their program. You are the leaders here. And we take the leadership and their vision of where they want to work with their programs, and we work with our partners to bring a new holistic approach here in professional development. How do we meet? We meet with the superintendent first. I want to hear from them. Just one-on-one, our team meets with them. Then I ask, can I meet with the principals of your schools who are going to be in the program? And all of them have said yes. But I also asked one question. I let them know, I said, please, can I make sure that the principals can say what's needed at these meetings? Because I don't want it where they might say something and all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, they happen to be miraculously disappeared and they're in school Siberia. And they said yes. And we had open and frank meetings. Then I also said I want the teachers at the next meeting to hear from them. Because if I ask many of you teachers, what does PD mean? We can't even say what it means because you know what you think about PD. And we have very frank meetings with our teachers. And at that meeting, it's just the teachers, no administrators. Then we have a meeting also with the parent rep along with the teachers to hear the parents' concerns of what's going on in the community. Then we bring all of the teams that they put together, and then we collaborate. Mr. Alvarez?
Good afternoon. So, how do we start? The South Bronx, in the district that I was in, and I say district that I was in is last week, for those of you who don't know, the chancellor has realigned superintendents, and now I've been moved from the South Bronx and asked to do some of God's work, actually, in Brooklyn in District 15 for the areas of District 15 that haven't been historically supported in this particular work. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about District 7, because District 7 is the poorest congressional district in the entire United States. And we're not talking about New York City, we're not talking about New York State, we're talking about the entire United States, where the average family salary is about $15,000 a year. Coming into that area, pre-pandemic, we already had an issue that no one was paying attention to. It wasn't until post or during pandemic that those tragedies that were happening, the marginalization that was happening, was exacerbated and everyone understood. See, we're talking about infrastructure internally and externally. So we finally got the computers. What do you think happened? No Wi-Fi. We finally got the Wi-Fi. What do you think happened? The infrastructure wasn't there. So even with the Wi-Fi devices, students still couldn't access the internet because in that particular area, very little antennas were put in that particular neighborhood and community. So it was getting the local elected officials to figure out how to get Verizon, T-Mobile, and all the other companies to actually input or actually create the structure itself. What I really want to say about how Dr. Dukes and how Jeff actually supported us, you often, and all those of you who are district leaders know, everyone comes to sell you something. And everyone wants to tell you how to use it and how to do it. And you pay for it, an exorbitant amount of money, but you don't necessarily usually see the results of the impact that it's had and where you are. And my colleagues here can tell you, we're all about evidence and impact. How do we actually make impact? Because you can place any or everything you want, but unless it makes impact, it's invaluable. It's not valuable, I should say, right? And so what did we do? Jeff met with us. We had several people coming in saying, we want to do this, we want to do that. We recognized that going into remote, we had to actually create the infrastructure for project-based learning. before we can get to STEM, we had to make sure that teachers knew how to implement project-based learning. So thanks to STEM Happens Network, we were able to create project-based learning professional development all along the way, supporting school leaders in identifying how to actually create the structures for the actual school year, during the school year, and then a year later. But in addition to that, we had to bring the teachers in for training. So STEM's Happen Network actually created the infrastructure to actually teach our teachers for free. Well, not for free, obviously. We know Dr. Dukes found a way to pay for it. But we were able to get the infrastructure to actually provide project-based learning for our schools. To date, and I'm no longer the superintendent there, every school in District 7 currently has 4 to 5 units of study that are project-based aligned thematically over the course of the past 3 years. As a result, in year 1, 3% increase in both ELA and math. In year 2, another 3% increase in both ELA and math. And this year, they're projected to make about another 4% increase in both ELA and math based on our June instructional reports. And so a total of about 10% increase overall, while decreasing the level 1s, and that's, state data, the level 1s in ELA and math, while increasing the level 3s and 4s, particularly for our student groups, specifically special ed and students with disabilities. And that's thanks to the work that they've actually been providing us and continue to provide us. So.
And why is this important in terms of what we're doing here? And from hearing all of these phenomenal leaders here today on this outstanding subject matter of STEM, of helping our children, our communities moving forward in the future here. Because if we don't do it, who's going to do it? Also love working with Kelly and Sal. Kelly has this one word that I'm now making sure that stays in my column here, silo. That we have to get people out of their own silos. Whether it's a silo of 1 or a silo of 20 or a silo of 100. Because if we don't look and increase our peripheral vision and just keep the tunnel vision, as you see what's going to happen, we're not going to get anywhere here. And what we want to make sure we do in this program here is, in terms of the collaboration here, is, yes, here's what we've done, and we're very happy with that. But that's not enough. So while we've had success here, that's good. But we can't keep looking back. The question now is, since we've gotten to this point here, good, where do we go now? And then how do we get there? And so with respect to what we're talking about here, and talking about the student experience here of moving forward here, let me have here Dr. Pate come up and speak here on this. I'm sorry, Sue. Yep. Oh, come up.
Sit? Oh. She says, sit and talk. This is Superintendent Dr. Pate. You take the floor first. Go ahead.
I keep telling her to go ahead and speak about the work. So I'll take just a moment to talk about reimagining the student experience. In order for you to understand the why of my story, you have to understand who I have been as a student. And back when I was in elementary school in the very early 70s, you all do the math if you want to, your intelligence was measured by your fluency. How fluently you read was the determining factor of your intelligence. And I didn't read very fluently. And so it was a very steep climb for me as a student, as a scholar, to be successful in the New York City Department of Education. It wasn't until a wonderful arts program arrived, and it gave me another opportunity, a different kind of opportunity. It spoke to different modalities, and that allowed me to begin to showcase some of what I could do. That has always informed the work that I have done as an educational leader around ensuring that students have opportunity and access to show their brilliance. And so we have utilized this amazing partnership to fuel that belief, to fuel the mission of our district, which is to showcase brilliance in all of its very diverse colors, dispositions, heritage, culture. And so it is now a usual thing within our schools that we are integrating not just STEM, but problem-based learning, inquiry, in order for students to see the connection between content and the world of work. For example, outside, our dear friend, new dear friend from Neo World, had us shaking a bottle up and creating what was it, this tornado. Our students completed a unit in weather systems. But we know that it's important for us to not just have them understand that content, but make the connection with real world. And our leaders are here to speak about how they then had the opportunity to co-anchor weather reports in New York City. They'll never forget that opportunity. They'll never forget being able to, using technology gifted to us, connect with actual weather anchors to talk about the process of weather forecasting. That's what it looks like. That is how you take Tammy's unique way of doing things, of learning, of communicating, and you make that a global way to ensure that students get to show their brilliance. We have to think beyond a state test. We have to. And we're not just saying this, yes, the NAACP has a very clear, definitive, strong, historical perspective around equity and education. But this is for all of our children. I have a district that is polarized by culture, by economics. We have obscene wealth in one area and shocking poverty in another. And guess what? Every single one of our children get to benefit from this reimagined way of teaching and learning and showcasing what they know. So I told you to go first. You didn't believe me. You didn't believe me. She doesn't believe me. This is my co-leader here.
This is my sister here.
This is my sister.
Sister.
By the way,
Say sister.
one sister who thinks she's going to retire this year. It's not happening. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I want to touch on our collaboration with NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. I'm so proud of it. I've worked with grant collaborators before, but nothing can be measured as the way we work. Jeff came with an understanding when he meets with us that one size does not fit all. You know, every school has its uniqueness and its needs, and we really have to reach down to the school level. And in our meetings, in our leadership meetings, we really see that they listen to us. It's not like other grants who say that these are the restrictions, these are the criteria, and you have to flow along with it. But no, Jeff said, give me your top 3 needs. Talk to us in what that you need. And that feels so good in terms of that understanding, that we have. And the fact that every time I reach out to Dell Technology, Jeremiah Frink, and STEM with Kelly and Roy and Sal, along with New World, Hope How, there is no roadblocks with them. It's always a true way. They won't tell us to go detour. No, you cannot do it this way. Let's swing it this way. Let's try to work it out that way. No, there's no roadblocks. I really, really appreciate that. Truly. And Dr. Dukes, she comes to our meeting. I'm so amazed with you. Your level of energy is just something that I will hold on to and work on, because there's so much more to do, and you are still there to really support. This is just beyond amazing. I can never say, I thank you. I thank you for that collaboration, because our principals, our district, needs that type of way of looking at things differently. And you have that. So I just want to say that we need to continue. We want to work on. We need the funding to come through. We need that continuation that ever needs to happen, because consistency matters. It matters a lot. Without that, you won't see the outcome and the impact that we want to. And our children is our hope. These children is our future. So we have that same direction. And as I always said to you and to parents, and you talk about how we need to collaborate with parents, I will get onto the phone and call every parent coordinator, get your parents to come. The leaders must join this meeting. And now next year we are going to have monthly meeting with the PC and invite the partners in to really, educate, train, and really spread the word. And understand that the digital world is advancing too quickly, too fast. And if you're not catching on to it, then we're missing it. Yeah, we don't want to miss the boat. So therefore, we will continue, and as we trust you, I think that level of trust we have is just amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I would be remiss if our other partner, my other sister on this program here, who I got to know a number of years ago, this young lady came from China, spoke not the best English, but she taught me a few words in Cantonese, and I made sure that she started coming out to see what we do in our schools. And she has bonded with these students here in terms of her work ethic here, her leadership in terms of teaching them, befriending them, being patient with them, and understanding them, who also works with us in the company, Nero. She's in the back taking videos again. Hope, pal, please raise your hand. Hope, give her a nice hand. Hope, way to go, my girl. And almost wrapping up, folks, we thank you for your patience. I know it's been a long, long day for you here. But think about if you were back home in hot New York in summer school. Would you rather be here? And those of you who didn't clap, we got you on video, so I got some of your superintendents here, so those ratings will be coming out very soon. They can be changed, right? But for our parents, how many of you are parents here? When I mean parents, whether it's your definitive children here, relative, godparent, whatever it may be, how many of you are parents? How many of you have gone to the schools to meet with your child or relative's teacher? How many of you have left saying, damn, I don't like that teacher? How many of you are parents have gone to meet the principal? How many of you have said, damn, I don't like that principal either? See? But it's a partnership. See, because if we don't listen to our parents, what do we have? See? Many of you don't even know what many of these parents go through when they go through those closed doors at night in their home. See? How many have ever been to a shelter and seen, do you think you could stay there for one night? Been homeless? How many of you slept in the car all night? How many of you had no food? See? I know you have none, Frank. I got you. See? So when we put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, and just imagine, and then they got maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 babies, and they struggling to take care of them babies. And they have no answers or solution to take care of these children, these babies. But yet they still send them to school to hope and pray for a better life for my babies. See? And we must listen to them and hear them, even when they go long-winded, whatever. But we must hear them and acknowledge them, give them the respect, and bring them in. Sit down. Let's have a dialogue. Let me hear from you. Because once they can know that they can trust you, they got your back. Mr. Alvarez works in the South Bronx. Dr. De La Cruz, East Harlem. 2 of our roughest neighborhoods in New York City. But Mr. Alvarez can walk through that neighborhood at any time of the day or night. His principals can walk through that neighborhood anytime through the day or night. Why? Because they're respected by those parents. Dr. De La Cruz, East Harlem. Sister lives in Harlem on 147 and walks to her school, to her district office on 120th Street. In Harlem into East Harlem. You don't see her running with the Reeboks, she walking with them loafers or heels and strutting. But the kids got her back. The parents got her back. And as you heard the chancellor say yesterday, that if he tried to remove any of these individuals, I don't think he would have been at this conference today. Because that's how much these individuals are valued in the neighborhood. That's how much our teachers are valued in the neighborhood. And that's why we made sure that our families are our partners in this program, where we have special PDs for the parents to understand how to work on a Chromebook. What is it? How to use it? What is your child learning in the classroom? What is STEM for the parents? Where we make sure we're going to be having these meetings with them. Kelly has run our meetings for STEM Happens Network with Sal. Hope has run them from Neo World for our pre-K to 2. Because we have now devised our program for all of our age groupings from grades pre-K to 2, 3 to 5 or 6 depending upon your school, junior high school, and now we are into high school. We also cover special needs. So we've covered all of them across the board and making sure our parents are well involved. And I'm going to have Dr. Christy De La Cruz speak on how we work with the parents through their leadership. Dr. De La Cruz, thank you.
Thank you so much. The same way we have to reimagine the student experience, we need to reimagine how we engage our parents and our families. It takes a village. And I think this is one of our missed opportunities as educators of not involving our parents in an authentic way. I'm getting a little emotional because there's an individual here in this room, I wanted to stand up, who taught me about parents' involvement. Noemi Brito. I was actually, Dr. Pruitt was here, and he talked about teachers. I was the teacher of her daughter, amazing, successful woman, because I started teaching, Miss Brito has known me since a teacher through my role as an assistant principal, director of multilingual learners, deputy superintendent, superintendent. We have been connected all of those years since I was the teacher, the ENL teacher of her daughter. I knew her before she was a parent coordinator, so I knew her as a parent. So I say when I talk about reimagine the experience, how do we provide opportunities for everyone to learn? How do we change our mindset that if we love children, we love their parents? The same way we love our children, we have to love our parents because they see everything. They see how we respect or how we do not include their parents. Going beyond that. So I'm a first-generation college graduate, and my parents didn't come to the school. They never helped me with a homework assignment. They never read a book to me. Not because they didn't care about me, not because they didn't love me, because they were working. I myself worked in the farms, and I was a farm hand, free labor, because I was helping my parents. And I say that because they weren't included in the process. And we need to do better, and we can do better. So when parents can't come in, what can we do to find different ways to engage? I am proud to say, talking about outcomes, throughout this pandemic, our parent engagement has increased by 500% in some of our schools. In some of our schools, they struggle to have 1 or 2 parents come, but because the gift of technology, we have been able to, people don't have to have daycare. They can call in from work. We can provide all these different opportunities. And I learned about the role of the parent coordinator through Noemi Brito. She still is, because she's still there. She's a powerhouse. If you want to know about the role of the parent coordinator, everyone in the city of New York, when you talk about scale and sustain what works, contact Noemi Brito. You can contact I say that because she's here, because those systems and structures, we took it to a next level with our parent coordinators. So in all of our 23 schools, and we did have Hope, and Hope has been a key instrumental partner with our East Harlem Basics, our initiatives for early childhood, but leveraging our parent coordinators within our schools, giving them the same professional development and learning so that they in turn can support their families. And it really does take a village, and I know we're short on time, but we have to, again, if we love our children, we love their parents, and do better in finding ways in how we can have them be true partners in this learning experience. So thank you.
And so we're going to wrap this up here, and a few words quickly from our Dr. Pate. Again, it's just a collaboration of building partnerships that we want to do in this program here, because we want to hear, what do you need in your schools in terms of helping here? Every school is different. They could be side by side, same schools in the same building, but the needs could be different. And so we don't want to make sure that this program is a one-size-fits-all, because one size does not fit all. Right? I got those one-size-fit-all socks and they don't fit, you know? Please. But in terms of what we stress here, and again, we thank you for your patience here and understanding. But what I would like when you go back home is to think of one word that I got reinvented with at a workshop I was at a number of weeks ago for my son's school. And a gentleman said this word, community. And it stuck with me. What is community? And community is what you see right here. This is community. How we work together. Agree to disagree, but we have a mission and a goal and a vision. And we put a plan together. And we think, we debrief, we assess, we talk, we strategize. And then I ask, what do you need? And we try to give them what they need. Not what I need, but what do they need? But I would like when you go back here just to focus on that word, meditate it on a while, and ask yourself, do I have a community in my school? And if you don't, then how can you get a community? Because if we have community, then we will have success. When we have success, our children succeed for a better life for themselves and their future families, and we can certainly make this world a much better place in terms of moving here. So I want to thank you so much. I'm going to let Dr. Pate close it out for us. But again, thank you so much on behalf of Dr. Hazel Ann Dukes and this phenomenal education initiative here. My co-partner here, Kelly, Sal, Roy, and everybody who we work with here in terms of that. Dr. Pate. Yep.
Any minute. We said we would finish in 30 seconds. So if you can give us 30 seconds. I have Sue here with me. And the district just wanted to recognize this moment and to say thank you. And if you all wouldn't mind, you know, everyone has their way of telling the story. So give me 2 seconds to give Dr. Dukes and our own Jeff Hart just a little soul food. Is that okay? May the work you've done speak for you. May the work you've done speak for you. As you travel along the way, I can hear the people say, may the work you've done speak for you. We want to just say, we want to say, what you have done for the children of New York City, that work speaks for you. It speaks for your heart. It speaks for your backbone. It speaks for your mind. It speaks for your life mission. And we commend you on today, and we say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
Just say the last sentence. Words will never fully express our gratitude, but it is our honor to recognize and celebrate you on today. So with our sincere gratitude, we thank you from the bottom of our heart to esteemed leader, Jeff Hart.
Thank you so much. Wow.
I want everyone to stay up on the stage, and I also want to call Deputy Superintendent Rosa Arredondo to also come up along with the Chancellor. Tomorrow we'll be hearing from District 6 as well, so that's why they weren't up here now, but we're going to hear a lot from them tomorrow as well. But we also have another award that, you know, we've all been in the presence of Dr. Dukes the last couple days here, and she is a true inspiration and an amazing leader. And I like to think about it in terms of she is definitely that eagle that's soaring high that we all want to aspire to be. And she's there in spirit with us, she's guiding us, and I think seeing and being around her these last few days is a true inspiration. And so I want to challenge all of you to aspire to be that eagle and to be that leader. So with that, we have an award to present to Dr. Dukes. So I want to thank you. Don't throw any words there.
Just very briefly, to the woman who, those who know her, we affectionately refer to her as Ma Dukes. A legend in our time. This is a classic example of giving someone their flowers while they're still here. And so, on behalf of all the children of New York City, I want to say thank you. You have given your heart, your love, your soul to all of our young people in our communities across this great city and across, in fact, across this great nation. And we say thank you. Bless you. Bless you.
I will bless the Lord at all times, and his praises shall continue to be in my mouth. This is a mission that I think I was ordained to go on this journey. I've just celebrated my 90th birthday.
Yes.
And I'm not tired yet.
Come on.
That's right.
Every morning and every night, I ask the Lord to let me continue to do the work that I'm called for, not to live, because there will be only two things on my tombstone: the day that I was born and the day that I transitioned. But there will be boys and girls. There will be a chancellor who came the way while I was living, that I am truly blessed that I lived long enough to see it. I know his parents well. I work with them. His children that I meet all across this world, in Australia, that write me notes. They are bankers. They are in every field. That's what I want to leave for America.
Yes.
I didn't rear Obama, but my work is a part of Obama.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
If I had never passed this way, and it had not been for an NAACP and a Jesse Jackson
That's right.
and a Shirley Chisholm, when they said, if they don't have a chair for you, bring it. That's what I've done.
That's right.
To be at the seat. And so it's a living witness that there is a Banks, the chancellor, born and reared. We didn't have to transplant him. He knew the system. That's why it's moving. There's a Denique Stennemeller who thought it was not robbery to take a chance on my name being this initiative. Young people name this education award after me. I didn't do it. 15 years ago, the young people of the NAACP said, we want an education initiative named after you.
Right.
And they took the vote and they carried it to the national. And they said, yes, New York State could have it.
That's right.
May the work I've done,
Yes.
may the life I live speak for me.
Amen. 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 Yes.
The great Hazel Dukes, everybody, let her hear it.
So this here concludes our day today. I'm asking this group to stay up here just for a moment because I want to get a group photo as well. And we are now going to have a reception and partner showcase. So this is an opportunity to network. Remember, you can scan each other's badges. talk to the other vendors that are out there and partners that are out there, but really talk with each other, learn from each other. And then tomorrow morning, we'll be back here bright and early at 7 o'clock in the morning. Breakfast is served until about 8:20, and then we'll start back here at 8:30. Now, on your tables, there is a QR code for the breakouts. If you've already signed up, you don't need to do it. If you have not signed up, you definitely need to do it as well. So again, I want to thank everyone for a great first day, and we look forward to our start tomorrow. Thank you.
Someone's going to take a photo?
Yeah, Amber's going to take a photo. Sal, Jeremiah and Hope, could you please come up? My phone's over there on the chair.